Hello, and welcome to episode 30 of Let's Talk Immigration. 30 weeks in a row, Morrison Urena has put on this show and been available to answer your questions and just chat about things going on in the immigration world. So, yay! Celebrate our 30th episode. Okay, a few things I want to talk about, and then I'll switch to question and answers. If you have a question, post it on YouTube or Facebook or let me see here, Telegram. There's a little chat place in Telegram. If you're watching on Twitter, you might want to go to those places because that's where we harvest the questions that I will answer in the last part of the show. So first thing I want to talk about today is Sudan. I'm going to share my screen. Let me see if I can share my screen correctly. So the State Department has what's called the FAM code, the Foreign Affairs Manual, and it's online, fam.state.gov, and they have updated the FAM code to where Sudanese visa applicants are now designated as homeless nationalities. What that means is there's no U.S. embassy in that country, and so instead of waiting on a U.S. embassy to open, they are instructed to use this other embassy. Like Iranians are using Abu Dhabi, Ankara, and Yerevan. Now Sudanese are Cairo. If you're a DV 2023 selectee and you chose Khartoum on your DS-260, your case is automatically going to Cairo. Same with family-based and employment-based visas that were Sudanese. Cairo is your new embassy, unless you talk to KCC and NBC and make it different. It's Cairo now. What's interesting is they probably did that in response to forthcoming litigation, yet they have still not designated Afghans as homeless nationalities. There's a real benefit to being designated as a homeless nationality. You have more flexibility with changing your interview location. So I'm hoping to see them designate Afghans as homeless nationalities. I can't imagine why they have not done so unless they're planning on reopening Kabul, U.S. Embassy Kabul, and I don't foresee that. So I don't know what's happening there. Okay. Next thing I wanted to talk about was visa news. If you're a DV 2024 selectee, you probably noticed that there was an update on the website yesterday for the State Department. You may not have noticed, but in case you didn't, I will share that with you. It is called Diversity Visa 2024 Update, and it's not that big of a surprise. What it says is, beginning with the fiscal year DV 2024 and onward, meaning into the future, all future DV years, KCC is no longer collecting documents. Actually, that's been the case for 2022 and 2023. I think it was probably as a result of our litigation. We found that there was a bottleneck in KCC with respect to processing documents. That was probably because it was being done by a contractor, LDRM, which got this contract during the Trump administration, in the early years of the Trump administration. And they just an incompetent company, and they were not able to process quickly. So KCC even says here that they expect eliminating this step, where KCC handles documents, can increase the number of appointments scheduled during the earlier months of the program year. Well, they're talking about DV 2024. It's good to be optimistic, because that's not what they did in 23, 22, 21, 20. I mean, well, 20 before COVID maybe, but hopefully this is the beginning of a new leaf, a new era in the diversity visa program, where 2024, maybe they will process and issue a lot of those visas earlier in the fiscal year to give people more certainty about their future. That would be great. Okay. The other thing I wanted to bring up was, let's talk about ICE. Ice Baby. This was Vanilla Ice song from the 80s, if you did not know. Okay, so ICE, in their statistics online, they have statistics on people that have alternative detention, meaning that they have an ankle brace or something, or some kind of smart link with their cell phone. They have been posting the data wrong for like the last, I don't know, it looks like it's been going on for a few weeks, or at least the last week. And there's one guy on the internet, and I want to just give him a shout out, Austin Cocker. Maybe not saying his name right. Maybe it's Austin Kocher, who has called them out on this, which has caused them to revise their statistics, but they're still wrong. Basically, ICE is an agency within an agency. It's within the Department of Homeland Security, and it's supposed to be responsible for supervision of detainees inside the U.S., but they're just a lawless entity. Like, they don't follow the rules. That's why we are suing them. We're actually suing the director, Mr. Johnson, and Asylum Seekers versus Johnson, regarding the data breach. I'm no fan of ICE. I think we should abolish that agency. But here's one more example. Even when they try to be transparent, they don't even know how to do it. Okay? Just incompetent fools. That's really all I have to discuss about what's going on in the world of immigration. And I can skip the questions and the answers now. So if you have not submitted your question, please submit your question. If you're just now joining, you submit them on Facebook or YouTube ideally, or Telegram, and we'll get to them. So, okay. This is a familiar audience member, Dr. Usama Solomon. Hello, Mr. Morrison, and thank you for being with us. We are all good luck plaintiffs. We good luck plaintiffs. You are welcome, and thank you for your continued patience. Good luck plaintiffs. Okay. Omer says, hello, Curtis. Hopefully you're having a nice day. I am having a nice day. As you can see, my hair looks fabulous. Okay. That's a joke. Okay. Omer says, as you know, everyone talking about this delay at appeal court, any tips you know, situation is very frustrating psychologically. Omar, I'm very frustrated psychologically that people are blaming their predicament, their situation, on the Court of Appeals. Appeals take a long time. Court is doing what it's supposed to do. The problem here is the Biden administration for appealing our victories in Gomez and Goodluck and Ray and Go and Mohammed Fong John Kennedy, Aker, all those cases, all those DV cases where me and other attorneys had victories. The Biden administration is appealing those victories. The Biden administration is the problem. I do not want to see this narrative in comments anywhere on social media, or where it's like, oh, the court is causing a delay. That is toxic and dangerous. If you want to blame the court for your problems, the court has an easy and quick answer for that, and that's bye-bye, right? So court is not the problem. I know you didn't say that. You're just saying that other people are saying that, which they are, and I want them to stop. I also want an outcome, a positive outcome for the appeal soon, but I don't want to sabotage it by talking bad about the court. Let's not do that. Nobody that is my client can do that. It's a rule. How about winners DV21 plaintiff? DV21 plaintiff is not specific as to what lawsuit you are a plaintiff in. I'm going to just assume you're a plaintiff in Good Luck lawsuit. And in that case, you have to wait for the outcome of the appeal like everyone else. We're waiting on the outcome of the appeal from the 3-judge panel. Okay, so please ask, I'm a U.S. citizen serving in the USA Army. Thank you for your service. Can I file for my mom and my stepdad? He's not my biological father, but he's married to my mom. You can definitely file for your mother. I don't know. I've never been asked that question before, and I've never seen that situation before. So I'm not sure. Worst case scenario, file for your mom. She comes to the U.S. with her green card. She can petition for her husband. However, F2A is not current in the visa bulletin. So that's probably a 2 to 4 year process from when she comes to the U.S., which means it's 5 or 6 years from now. My recommendation is hire an immigration attorney to research that question and give you the correct answer, because I don't know off the top of my head. Okay, thank you. Omar said, second question about deploying cases in a database in embassies. So as plaintiffs, our cases are in embassies, but in an active system. And should we be optimistic for the situation? Well, Omar, what he's referring to is a declaration that the government filed in Gomez and Ray that said that reserved visas had already been deployed to embassies, but embassies cannot see them. They're like frozen and inactive. So they're no longer at KCC. However, the numbers that they gave in that declaration made me believe that they just deployed cases from DV 2020 Gomez class members and Ray eligible plaintiffs and Go plaintiffs, and not good luck. I don't think those cases have been deployed yet. But it doesn't really matter because they're all inactive anyway. Should you be optimistic for the situation? Well, this is a sub issue within the bigger issue, and there's no reason to have an opinion on this, really. Either we beat the appeal or we don't beat the appeal, and that's the most important thing to be optimistic about. You know, we want to beat the appeal. That's if we beat the appeal, I'm confident that the State Department will be able to deploy those cases from good luck quickly, but I don't think that they've been deployed yet. It's just an IT situation. Information technology people take care of that. Layla says, good afternoon, Curtis. Good afternoon, Layla. Muhammad Ali says, what a great name. Has anyone get visa of B1, B2 category during the immigration in process? I wanted to apply, but scared if they refuse, it will have some bad effect on my immigration case. Okay. I'm aware of one person. I've probably talked to thousands of people. I know I've talked to thousands of people and represented thousands of clients. I'm aware of one person who was issued a B1, B2, even though they had a pending immigrant application process. I think that that was either a fluke where the consular officer made a mistake, or the visa applicant just had a means and they didn't really think that the visa applicant was at risk at overstaying the visa in the US. The burden is extremely high. They're going to presume that you're going to try to stay in the US, and that's going to cause you to be found ineligible for the visa in that situation. So I think the reason they just don't bar it and say don't apply is because they enjoy accepting the application fee. You know, money talks. And so that's, see all those flowers around the US Embassy? So pretty, the grounds? You would help pay for those flowers if you went to an interview, because they're not going to issue you a visa, but very unlikely that they would issue you a visa, but they may buy some new tulips. Your second part of that question, you're scared if they refuse, it will have some bad effect on your immigration case. I have seen several times a non-immigrant visa interview have dire and fatal consequences to an immigration case. And that is when the applicant goes into that interview and makes a misrepresentation to a consular officer. The U.S. State Department is very unforgiving about that they call it visa fraud, no matter how innocent it is. So you want to be very careful exposing yourself to the consular officer, because they will use the information that you give them to find you ineligible for a visa. So that is the risk that you're taking. You're risking losing your money. It's almost a certainty, but you're also risking consular officer misinterpreting something that you say or information in your DS-160 and finding it inconsistent with what you told in the other process, and then all of a sudden you have a permanent bar from the US. So the stakes are high whenever you're talking to a consular officer under oath, where they're trying to determine your credibility. So it is serious. So I'm glad you asked that question. Layla says, apologies if you addressed this already, but any news regarding the Naveed versus Blinken lawsuit? Layla, I have not addressed this already. I do not have news regarding that lawsuit. We are still waiting on the judge to issue his order on the government's motion to dismiss. Roughly half of the applicants in that case, of the plaintiffs in that case, have been issued visas or have attended interviews or have interviews scheduled, but so our work is not done there. We've still got only 50% done. So I think a lot about the Naveed case and the Islamabad situation, and I am hopeful that things change there soon. Okay. Muhammad Ali has a second question. Does telling our wife having anxiety issues and having stress with work and life without attaching any report, does it work out for getting an expedite request approval? Absolutely not. Never. Like, it's not going to work. Do not bother. And let me tell you why. That's not unique. Every single visa applicant has that situation. So the request before yours and the request after yours involves someone with cancer or a Russian teenager that's about to be conscripted into the army to fight a war he doesn't want to fight. I mean, saying, hey, I'm stressed about the visa process is not going to, they're not going to sympathize with that, because that's part of the process. It's unfortunate, but the State Department does not acknowledge mental illness, mental challenges, depression as real health-related issues. Their bar is a matter of life or death. So what happens a lot of times is, if your wife is stressed out, having anxiety and like that, she's going to have physical symptoms. I mean, her body will start to be sick, like if her mind is sick, right? And so a lot of times, this is unfortunate, but those physical symptoms, the stress, the ulcers, whatever it is, doctors note from the physical symptoms can be used for a successful expedite request in some situations. But let's back up here about expedite requests. They're not what you think they are, okay? I've seen many a case expedited and still not issued. I've filed many mandamus lawsuits for cases that were expedited months ago, but nothing happened. Sometimes an expedite request means instant interview, instant adjudication. Sometimes it just means they shuffled your place in line and you never even really notice it. So, especially with family preference visa categories. Mohsin says, any luck regarding F2A in Islamabad? Have been waiting since 2020. Yeah, we were just talking about Naveed a few minutes ago, the Naveed versus Blinken case. I would not say that we have luck in that case yet. The case is still alive. We're waiting on the judge's order on the government's motion to dismiss. And I see no signs that Islamabad is getting better. I don't think that Secretary Blinken has dedicated staff to make things better. So they're not going to get better by themselves. Okay, Omar said, recently I see a link that there was an update on Gomez case. The update was on 5/26/2023. So the question is, does updating on a case in appeal court mean outcomes as soon, or it's just a routine process? Okay, Omar, I'm glad you brought this up because this is what's called a rumor, okay? Where that was seen was a website that's not even a government website, and the update for 5/26 was that website was updated that day. Nothing at the court was updated that day. There's not been any filings in the Gomez case on May 26th. If there were, I would have shared that information. So you're taking information from a non-reliable source and trying to interpret it to be important. It's not. That there's no significance of May 26th. Sabor asked, I just wanted to ask that I have been waiting for interview schedule for 6 months. My wife had applied for a USA spouse case and she's a citizen, and I'm an Afghan in Pakistan waiting. If your wife has the means, I strongly recommend that she contact me to talk about a mandamus lawsuit, or contact any immigration attorney to talk about a mandamus lawsuit, because you've been through enough. And also, I'm surprised by this situation because Islamabad's excuse when we say, why aren't you processing Pakistani family preference or family or spouses of U.S. citizens? They said, oh, but the Afghans, we have to help the Afghans. And your situation just shows that they aren't even doing that either. So I think that if we did a mandamus lawsuit for your situation, I think the government would adjudicate your visa application because they don't have another excuse. They canceled out their excuse. Their excuse for not adjudicating your application is your situation. So talk to us, have your wife talk to us about a mandamus lawsuit. You're still waiting for schedule. I have no idea what to do. How long more should I wait to get an interview? Well, you say, when people say how much longer should I wait, they never tell me what the alternative is. Do you have an alternative to waiting? I mean, you're talking about a decision between waiting and something else. What's the something else? If you have the ability to go to a European country for an interview, do that. Pakistan, Islamabad is the worst embassy in the system. You don't want to be there if you can get to another country on this planet that has a U.S. embassy. But if you don't have any other option, I don't understand the question. So, in financial, I've been struggling. Any help with be great. I don't provide financial help to visa applicants. Sorry. Okay. Second question, and we applied for Expedite. It didn't work. We applied 2 times. Is it going to backlog the case, or is it fine for now? I don't think having an Expedite refused hurts the case. However, there are some of you all out there who request Expedite every day and email the embassy every day, and then you're surprised when the embassy is so far behind. And let's be clear, if consular officers spend all day answering the same email over and over and over, like, why don't I have an interview? Instead of interviewing applicants, nobody gets a visa. So there's something to be said for being patient. I look at it like 2 different things. Either you're going to be patient or you're just going to sue them. But this thing where you're going to bother them where they can't get work done, I don't think that that's effective. One Expedite a request every 2 months is probably the most I would recommend. Omar says, I just want to be sure for me and plaintiffs. Forgot which plaintiffs you're talking about. I'm going to assume good luck. Because we saw in very past rumors, as you know, I didn't mean any harm or profit. Oh, no, and I understand that. And I appreciate the question, Omar, because you've given me a chance to say that out loud. I've said it in Telegram. I've said it individually to about 50 different people. And so I'm glad I was able to say that on this broadcast. So thank you. Sabor says, so if we contact you, is there any way to make it faster? Sabor, if you hire us for a mandamus lawsuit, I'll go ahead and walk you through this. If your wife, a U.S. citizen, hires us for a mandamus lawsuit, against the NVC because you don't have an interview yet, we would charge $5,000 for that. It would take us about 28 days to file the complaint from the time you hire us. From the time we file the complaint, we usually have it served within a week, and then the government has 60 days to file a responsive pleading. Now, their responsive pleading could be a motion to dismiss, or it could be an answer to the complaint. Either way, it would be a lot of work for them. The easier path for them is to schedule your interview and adjudicate your visa. So, and we don't dismiss the case until we have to. So, like, if they scheduled your interview, we would get an extension. We would give the government an extension of their deadline, keep the lawsuit alive to use as leverage, and then we would not dismiss the lawsuit until the visa was issued or visa application was refused if you're not eligible. But I do recommend a mandamus lawsuit, but they're not free. And it's unfortunate that they're necessary. Messanissa Sadi says, can we consider that a long time waiting for good luck outcome is a good sign? Because if they were sure that they want to deny us, they would have already done it. That's one point of view. I really don't want to speculate about it. Judges prefer not to have people guessing how they will vote. You know, there's 3 judges here. They prefer everyone be patient and quiet and defer to their deliberative process, where they are talking amongst themselves and also respecting that they have hundreds of other cases and this is not their only case. Okay, so let's just be respectful of the way courts want to do this, judges want to do this, and not try to read signs. Just let's wait and see. Any news regarding DV 2021 lawsuit? Have a nice day. No news. Have a nice day. In case appeals court, will you know in some time that they update their sites? Because we can see the orders daily they are sharing on the website. Will you know it faster? I'm not sure what website you are seeing their orders on, but they are filed electronically. We will see it immediately. I don't know when you will see it. But here's the thing. I'm not going to keep it from you. I'm not going to keep this a secret. So those of you who think that 5 hours of my day is best spent telling you that I don't have an update, you are mistaken. It would be better if I could help more people. Okay? I could work on improving the system. I cannot have one-on-one conversations with everybody saying, no, I do not have an update in Gomez. No, I do not have an update in Good Luck. I can't do that anymore. I realize that everybody's frustrated, but I need my mental health though. Okay, like you do. Okay. Procedural question. When cases are headed in the same day by a panel, for example, Good Luck, Kyuchi and Sarakova, do we have to wait until judge decide the 3 cases, or issues can be on a separate dates? Theoretically, they could come on separate dates. However, I do not expect that to happen. I think that judges prefer to wrap everything up in a neat package and say, here's what we think about all the DV cases. So I don't expect them to be broken up in separate dates. I expect the answers to the DV appeals, especially since there's issues in those appeals that overlap. I expect them to come on the same day. That's what I expect to happen. I win. I've answered all the questions. So I'm going to wrap up this episode early. Okay. It's episode 30, so it's only fair. It should only be 30 minutes. Okay. And that will give me more time to answer my emails and your questions on Telegram and WhatsApp. If you have a question, particularly about a mandamus lawsuit, because that's what I'm passionate about, please hit me up on WhatsApp or Telegram. And if you have a question about seeking asylum or a USCIS process, I recommend hitting up my law partner, Rafael Urena, because that's more of his expertise. Okay, so have a great day.